Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday night version of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth, and you can see it on the hat. I know Denzel Snipes wants one. You know what? Talk to my business manager, Candy Ebling, and she'll go out there and get one. So, with that said, I want to welcome Wayne Weinstein to the broadcast. Double W or whatever. Wayne W to the second power. Is that what they do in math? I don't even know. Anyway, we have one Weinstein before Mitch, and now we got Wayne. Welcome to the big show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And Jeremy Ballrick, my goodness, long time no see. All right.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Yeah, I know. I can hardly tell. And Denzel Snipes joins us tonight. Good evening, Dens.
I was just running from Officer Ballrick up there. He had his lights and sirens going. He was scaring me.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Obviously, you were also running from Pundit's Pundit because to the right of us, okay, is Mr. Pundit himself. What a transition. Jacob Chris.
Oh, yeah. Ballright scares me with that mustache. He needs to shave it and be like something.
Yeah.
He looks like he's got a fat revolver on his hip right now.
Yeah, right.
I never
I'm
thought
doing my impression of the Super Trooper.
My beard
No.
off.
He's got a fat revolver on his hip, and we think that until he starts talking, and then we know better.
Yeah, look at this. I can't believe I'm doing this beardless, but I got sick and tired of this. All right, I'm done with it. That's all she wrote. And last but not least, JB Ellis. We got two JBs, one on top of each other. What's up, Mr. Ellis? Of course, if you get rid of your mute button, then we can hear you. If you don't, then we'll assume you lost your voice. Which
how's it going, guys?
There he is.
All right. Well, let's get to the topics. We have a lot of them. But following the Sports Exchange Confidential follows us at right around the top of the hour. Well, you know what? Let's start this way here in South Florida. Miami is the fifth metro area to lose the NBA and NHL titles in the same year. Well, we'll start with the particulars. 2023, it was the Heat and the Panthers. 2016, we had the Golden State Warriors and the San Jose Sharks. 1980, the 76ers and the Flyers. And 1972, the Knicks and the Rangers. And in 1958, the Celtics and the Bruins. All right, Mr. WW Wayne Weinstein. You know, it's tough to lose two in a row in the same city, but it's not done now 5 times. What's your thought about that?
Well, I think, last year, Philadelphia, they lost. The Eagles lost. The Phillies lost. They lost in the MLS Cup. So they lost 3 championships. We only lost 2. So we're doing pretty good. Down here, we did get to the Final Four in basketball. We did have Nova win Division II. So we did have some winners, unlike, the others that didn't have anything. So that part was good. I think Nikolajokic was too big and too strong for us in the middle. He controlled the games, basically. Jimmy Butler, I don't know if he was injured or what, but he didn't play like himself. As far as the Panthers will go, I think defensively, Vegas was too tough for the Panthers. They were young. They were gritty. They were hungrier.
Okay, Jeremy.
What a great thing for Miami. I mean, 2 teams in the finals of their respective sports. You can't ask for better than that. I mean, Detroit would die if we had 2 teams in the finals.
All right, well, with that said, Jeremy, why don't you read what George Eichhorn has to say about this?
Miami in South Florida was the only city to host 4 title series games in 4 consecutive days. No town has ever done that.
Thank you, George. Appreciate the comments. Very timely. All right, Dens.
Well, first off, to South Florida, what a time. You got there. I was thinking maybe you come out 1 out of 2, but here's the thing. Both teams ran into 2 buzzsaws. It is what it is. When the owner opened up the Las Vegas Golden Knights, he said we would win the cup within 6 years. Some of y'all have heard that. They went their first year and they lost to Washington. It is what it is. They've been in the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs last year, and then this year they get the number 1 seed. And here's the thing. Both the Heat and the Panthers lost to number 1 seeds. They just flat out ran into better squads. And just like I said on Basket Bros, the stagecoach turned back into a pumpkin, like we kind of thought that might happen, right? Doesn't take away from the guts of these teams. These 2 teams, they did the Panthers knocked out a number 1, the Heat knocked out a number 1, and the Heat knocked out the number 1 of the NBA. Oh, and so did the Panthers, And everyone loves to think of a great Cinderella story, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. Sometimes the best team does win.
Jacob.
Yeah. And here's the thing. There's only one way I'm ever going to get on anyone that for losing their final because they got there. The only way I'm ever going to get on anybody like that is if they don't come up the next year and try it again and they don't build on it. And the thing is, I don't care that these two teams missed. That's fine because you made it there. And guess what? These are the teams that they faced are better. Yeah, but you know something? Thanks, Will. It's like the teams were better. Las Vegas was better. Denver was better. Period. That happens. It's called the human life. You get someone better. The only way that this does not, the only way that that we should ever have a worry about any of this, them losing, is that they don't come up with it. They don't go get they don't get players. You know, neither team goes and gets players to go get themselves better to go finish a job. And if they don't do that, then it was all for naught. But right now, at this point in time, they made it. And they need to just build on it.
Okay, JB.
2 extraordinary seasons. Both teams, nobody expected to end up where they were. Unfortunately, Denver was phenomenal in the playoffs. They only lost the one home game to Miami, which no other team beat them at home. And, you know, Vegas, although they didn't have the best record at hockey, they were the best team in the playoffs this year. They were the only team that were hotter than the Panthers at one point. And I'm sorry, beating Carolina in the Eastern Conference Finals, judge here that they weren't the best team to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's just that they happened to beat Boston in the first round.
Right.
You know, once they got past Boston, the road to the Eastern Conference Finals wasn't that difficult. But Vegas was the best team that they faced. And you can't be upset for losing to teams that are better. You know, right. I always say if you're going to lose in the playoffs, if you lose to the team that won the championship, you did the best you could. And both teams made the championship, so obviously they lost to the team that won the championship. But they just had great years that nobody expected. And like Jacob said, now you got to build on it for next year. What was good? You know, what do you need to make it to that next level to get over the hump and win rather than lose? You know?
Well, I know one thing. I did catch the tail end after that was over because I was obviously tied up with a couple of shows last night. And what I did catch was that the Panthers were battered after that Boston series. And a lot of players went ahead and suffered broken ribs throughout the course of the playoffs. So the fact that they even made it the way they did, let's face it, JB, all you guys are right. The Miami Heat ran into a buzzsaw. Let's face it. The only thing about Denver is they're on the West Coast and nobody sees these guys. If we saw them in the East Coast, we know how much better they really are. Well, guess what? They're much better than most people think. Panthers, meanwhile, you know, when you defeat the President's Cup trophy that's broken every NHL record on the planet, that speaks volume. But yeah, they did cruise by Toronto and Carolina. And in the past, the Tampa Bay Lightning have been their Achilles heel, and the Tampa Bay Lightning were ousted by Toronto. So, but hey, that's just the way it goes. Panthers took the step. We'll see what happens. They have a few free agents, but more power to the Cats. I really give them a lot of credit. In Vegas, in 6 years, like George Eichhorn says, have a tremendous and soundly managed NHL franchise. Yeah, but remember, they were built differently. Back in the day when we were watching expansion teams, you got the bottom of the barrel, and it took them years. Now expansion teams are set up like Seattle and Vegas to win much quicker. I'm not going to get into that. We have a lot of things to talk about, but every one of you all talked about some key stuff. Now, this is a topic we ran last night, and I've decided it was so good, I'm going to give a bunch of different voices an opportunity to comment on it that well. It pays to be great as a New York Yankee when you talk about the list of numbers when I refer to the baseball show last night. So, as I said before, here's the thing. The New York Yankees, here I'm going to list all the retired numbers. This is just unbelievable. It's just mind-boggling. Billy Martin, number 1. Derek Jeter, number 2. Babe Ruth, number 3. And of course, that number was handed because he went out there and batted third in the order. Lou Gehrig, number 4. Joe DiMaggio, number 5. Joe Torre, number 6. Mickeymantle, number 7. Yogiberra, number 8. Phil Dickey, number 8. Roger Maris, number 9. Philrizzuto, number 10. Thurman Munson, number 15. Whitey Ford, number 16. Jorge Posada, number 20. Paul O'Neill at 21. Don Mattingly, number 23. Eistonhoward, number 32. Caseystengel, 37. Mariano Rivera, 42. Reggie Jackson, 44. Andy Pettit, 46. Ronguidry, 49. And Bernie Williams, 51. And Jackie Robinson is retired universally across the board. So with that said, okay, to me, I'm going to lead off with Wayne. What are your thoughts about all these numbers retired? Because right now the Yankees don't have any. To me, they don't have any single-digit numbers unless you count 0.
And that's correct. And eventually, you know, the way that he's, you know, started his career, you may not have a 99 because Aaron Judge may be the next one to have his retired. Of the current squad, he's maybe one of the only ones that I could see. Garrett Cole, I don't think he's been with them long enough to really.
He won't anyway. He won't anyway.
No, but he hasn't even been with them long enough to even consider that. But like I said, Aaron Judge is the only one that I see right now of the current squad of even having a chance. But I guess, you know, you come up on this organization, you got to start picking whatever number you can get, like Jake Bauers, number 61. I mean, you have a lot of these guys that are wearing spring training numbers. So when you're a Yankee, I guess that's all you can hope for, just to make the major league roster.
Well, when you're immortal in their eyes, they let you know they appreciate you. All right, Jeremy, I don't know what you did to get Candy ramped up, but you know, it might be into the Gomer pile. Shame, shame, shame. But you better listen to Candy because she'll make sure all the stories you turn in aren't corrected, and then you'll grammatically look like a fool. So
well, the grammar's good. It's the spelling that's bad. Get it right.
All right, no problem. There are a lot of people you don't want to anger. Don't anger Miss Candy. All right, you talked a little bit about it yesterday. You can elaborate a little bit more until we go around the horn with the rest of them.
I mean, what can you say? They've got the most World Series. They've had a phenomenal run throughout the entire history of the Major League Baseball. So that being said, the only team that has even close to that is the Cardinals with 12, as Will Vogel says. So that's, and just like you said, 99 will probably be the next for the Cardinals. It'll be 5 for Albert Pujols.
Right. True. Okay, Dens.
Man, what can you say? They're pretty soon. They're all just going to be out there with just no numbers. Period. Here in 10 years, you know, you're going to run out of numbers to wear. Don't forget, 27 may get retired by the end of his career, also. You know, but it just goes to just the storied history of the New York Yankees, going all the way back to the Cathedral of Baseball, on through the 40s, 50s, 60s, and wasn't it the only other no-hitter thrown in World Series history? Don Larson, wasn't that a Yankee that did it?
Yes.
Yes,
Right.
that was a Yankee. You know, so again, it just tells the rich history about it. But it also kind of makes you slightly disappointed that the 2010s was the only decade that they did not appear in the World Series. So, you know, bringing this up, I'm sure for Yankee fans, JB, Will Vogues in the comments and everything, you know, you kind of long for those days back, you know, and you kind of wonder like when they are coming back, when out. But as for the jerseys retired, oh man, that's outstanding. That is, they're just gonna run out of jerseys soon.
Okay, JB.
I mean, I saw George's comment that he thinks they may have overdone it. I would love to know, you know, who on that list he doesn't think deserve to have the number retired, because, you know, I'm looking at the list. I have it up on my phone, just going through it right now. There's really everybody there was a key for, you know, Yankee success. You know, we don't get 27 World Series without any of these guys.
Right.
You know, and you have a lot of the guys from the 96 squad that went up all the way through the end. You have Ronguidry, who was phenomenal. You know, I can't make a case for any of these guys not to have the number retired. I know Wayne said earlier, maybe Garrett Cole, God forbid. I'd like to see them trade him as soon as possible, since we're not going to catch Tampa Bay. You know, we could get some quality pitching and get rid of him. Maybe some outfielders, get something. You know,
he wants to go 58 and 104.
Leave Coltrane alone.
We don't need him.
He wants to go 58
the only thing I want to say, the only name on there that stands out as not one of the best, but it's because he had the same number as one of the best. That was Phil Dickey. He had Yogi Berra's number before it was retired. So that's the only reason why his number is retired, if you think about it.
Good point.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think that he, you know, there was a reason why they gave it to him and they would have retired it. I'm looking it up as we speak. You know,
he played right after the era of Yogi Berra, I believe, and that's why, and the number wasn't retired yet.
Bill Dickey, let's see, he played 1929 to 1941.
Yeah, so while Yogi Berra had it too, so you know what I'm saying? They were on the same team.
It was the Great Depression.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
So because he took Babe Ruth's spot when he was gone, so they didn't give him 3 because 3 was already gone, and then when Yogi Berra retired, he had 8.
Okay.
Yogi Berra played after that.
Yeah.
But
right.
yeah, I can't see anybody right now on the current Yankees having the number retired. Not even Judge.
Okay.
You don't think Judge will get it?
You need to win championships for the Yankees. You know, home runs mean nothing. You know, the only reason why Maris is so revered, they got his number retired, is because he won championships. You get 70 home runs, it doesn't mean anything in the Bronx if you don't win a championship.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more, JB. I really couldn't. And that's the one organization that's measured by championships probably more than any. And that's why they have more. All right, Jacob, go ahead.
I'm just listening to JB talking about 7-1 and 2.84 ERA pitcher.
Garbage.
Wanting to trade wanting to trade the guy. This guy is the Randy Quaid from Major League 2 of this place. I swear to God, he is. He is going.
Got the hat flipped inside out and said losers.
At least I'm consistent. At least I'm consistent. $40 million a year. He doesn't deserve. And when it comes to the playoffs, for $40 million a year, you shouldn't lose a playoff game. He's pitched in a couple of winner go home playoff games the Yankees haven't won. Houston beat them. Tampa Bay's beaten them. So $40 million a year is wasted if you can't get a W in that situation.
But I'll tell you this. I do think I can say this. I do think Aaron Judge is getting it. I think he'll get the 99 retired. I will tell you this part right now. I don't think anybody else, and I'll tell you why. It's not because of the Yankees, because the Yankees are always going to be the Yankees. They're always going to get the ALCS, eventually a World Series. They're always going to be there because they always are able to contend. But the fact remains that we just have a much bigger version of the free agency now. People will not stay that long to be able to get that. So I think 99 will be the last for a while.
Yeah, I agree. I know Giancarlo Stanton won't get his retired. But no, I agree with you. Championships are really, in my opinion, the end result for that organization because they hold a much higher standard. All right, let's go on to the Denver Nuggets, shall we? Okay, the Denver Nuggets are world champions. They defeated Miami Heat 4-1 in the finals. First title for Denver. Nikolajokic, finals MVP, averaging 30.2 points per game, 14 rebounds a game, 17.2 assists per game, is the first player in NBA history to lead in points, rebounds, assists in a single postseason. I'll tell you what, that to me is a stat that's heard around the world because every major network is talking about it. All right, Jeremy B., you have the lead on this, and everybody will follow suit. Okay, Jeremy.
What a fantastic playoff performance. You can't ask for better than that in the basketball era. I mean, that's amazing. What else can you say?
Well, I guess you said it. Amazing, right? Okay. All right, JB.
Honestly, the greatest stats, but the most boring player to watch. That could be why Denver doesn't get talked about. Watch him on the court. He looks so effortless. It's almost boring to watch Jokic. It's not fun, but great player. I'm not taking anything away from him. Just not flashy, just very plain, boring, phenomenal.
Okay. All right, Wayne.
Well, I guess the amazing thing is if you look at him, he kind of looks like he lacks athleticism. Just a big guy, not fast. Doesn't look like he's got the ups of many players, but yet grabbing every rebound, finds men that are open, hits his shots inside, hits his 3-point shots. Yes, granted, he does have a lot of help around him. Murray also had a triple-double, so he had a lot of help. Off the bench, Brown and Bruce Brown both played really well off the bench. So he did get a lot of support as well. But, yeah, the guy does everything. And just when you watch him, looks very unathletic, but yet he does the job every night.
Okay, Denzel, you're up.
All right. I'm going to dedicate this right here to the casuals out there who already came out of the woodworks trying to take credit away from Jokic and his performance, saying that he had an easy road to the championship because he beat an 8th seed, a 4 seed, and a 7th seed. Since when is anybody in sports, since when do they control who they play?
Right.
You sound exactly like you started watching sports 2 days ago. He beat who was put in front of him, period. Because had he lost to an 8th seed, you'd be talking about how he didn't deserve MVP after all, how the Nuggets were frauds and everything. And see, this is the problem with sports, is whenever you have a superior team playing against a lower seed, they can't win for squat. Because if they beat them, you didn't beat anybody. If you lost, y'all are frauds. Stop taking it. This is their first championship, and y'all are not going to sit here and take that away from him or that city. You sound like you just started watching sports 2 days ago, just like I said. Go ahead.
Well, bear in mind, I think it's, it took 47 years for this team that came to the NBA as part of an NBA merger to finally crack through. So when you think about the saying, because God delays does not mean that God denied. Let's face it, Denver was to me, the team of destiny is what they really were. And they definitely proved to be that they beat everybody in front of them. Hey, to Miami's credit, they did too. How many coaches hit the unemployment line when Miami got done with them? So, if you want to go to Milwaukee, there's one that went. Didn't they face the 76ers, I believe, or they didn't face, I don't know. It doesn't matter. A couple of coaches went to the unemployment line. So the reality is the Denver Nuggets, to me, are on the West Coast. So really nobody knows about them anyways, but now they do. Can they go out there and win it? I don't care. Let them enjoy their first one first. Let Michael Malone motivate them, because one thing people have to understand, he's the most underrated coach in basketball. Coach the Sacramento Kings, got a second opportunity, and he made the most of it. How many times have we seen coaches get second opportunities and made the most of it? Well, I can think of two off the top of my head, Chuck Daly and Bill Belichick. And guess what? They amounted to titles too. So, Michael Malone, hey, more power to him. All right, Jacob, go ahead.
Yeah, and say, Will, the movement. The movement reminds me of, Mark Eaton, but he had such much different game. It's a much different game. That's what I'm saying. But biggest thing is the reason we're dealing with this old BS with Jokic is because there are people on ESPN, for whatever reason, are scared to death of, carry on, Kendrick Perkins. I said it. I mean, they're afraid of a 6'10", 380 pound. I think he's 380 now or something. I know the big old fat dude. I think they're afraid of his voice or something. It's like I remember old JJ Redick coming in. I remember JJ Redick coming in trying to get a different voice. I said it. No, I mean, trying that BS. No, they're afraid. They're afraid of this guy for whatever reason. But it's a tribal situation. Guess what? You can't choose who, like you said, Dan. You can't choose who you play. And the biggest thing about Jokic is I'm sorry, I grew up with Bird. I'm used to this. It's an angles. You have no athleticism. Your back is gone, whatever the reason may be, and you're still dropping 40. Still getting 17 rebounds or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because it's angles. That's how the game is, but the pros know. And he knows angles are the best of the ability. They didn't want Jokic to be the champion because Jokic is boring to look at. Jokic is not what you see on TikTok. But guess what? That's how the game is going to be saved, is when we start seeing real game play again. Instead of the TikTok, we don't see. Maybe if it's not a TikTok game, maybe James Harden wins the title. But guess what? It won't be, so he's not.
Well, that's a great line. I love that one. That is really good. Jokic isn't TikTok. You know what, Jacob? If I could get a tattoo on top of your head, because you're one of the only ones that has any hair, I would say Jokic is not TikTok. All right, I have another great, neat storyline that really came out of this series, and I think a lot of you guys are going to find it really neat too. That Smith has now played for 13 teams, and he finally got his first ring. The Nuggets were the 13th team, but I'm going to read them all off. When I saw this, to me, it reminded me of college game day. We all come into your city. Oh, I do that really good, don't I? So, anyways, I'm the only one laughing at it. Maybe I got a good attentive audience. Oh, Denz has got the Snipers, got that one. All right, well, let's talk about the ishsmith I Need a Movers tour. Okay, we got the Houston Rockets, the Memphis Grizzlies, the Golden State Warriors. Okay, the Orlando Magic, the Milwaukee Bucks. Oh, love those Bucks. Okay, the Phoenix Suns, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Philadelphia 76ers, the New Orleans Pelicans, and yes, the Detroit Pistons, the Washington Wizards, and the Charlotte Hornets. All right, Mr. Ballreich, what do you think about the ishsmith tour?
Well, he's got about, what, 15 more teams to go?
Is it? How many we got in the league?
Is it 28 or 30 now?
I think it's
in the
30.
NBA. 30?
You
Okay.
got
So
17.
he's got 17 more to go.
Yeah.
Let him get it.
Oh, that's a good, interesting perspective. Okay, JB.
Listen, as long as you're in the league, it still means you're one of the best.
Right.
Doesn't matter where you play it.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to win. You know, you're part of it. You help the team get there, whether you're the last guy on the bench or, you know, the best player on the team. Your hard work has helped that team get there. It's not a one-person game. It's not boxing, you know, or MMA where it's just you against your opponent. It's the whole team. So he earned the championship. He's helped the teams. It just says a lot about his desire to still want to go out there after he doesn't fit in with the team. Not easy to do.
Hey, Wayne.
13 teams. I mean, is he sponsored by Nationwide Van Lines? I mean, he should get a tattoo or something on his arm. That's a lot of teams.
That's a good one, Wayne. Yeah. Hey, Wayne, I'll tell you what, if you get the sponsorship for us, we'll give you a piece of the action. Go ahead.
So, yeah, I mean, 13 teams. You think, I mean, you got to be doing something right. I mean, if that many teams are interested in you, they don't like you long term, but
if you're watching the LOL, Jeremy Ballwright definitely has it. And you know what, Wayne, sorry to interrupt you, but I got to do this because this show, I have so much more fun. I tend to miss this a little bit too late in the show. We have a little time now. Just so you know, the Sports Exchange is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of the show can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? Boy, I love that active chat room. I'm waiting for, where's Mitch? Did he take the night off?
Shining his head.
Oh, okay. I figured that. Okay. But anyway, if you want to be a guest, participate in the chat room. Also send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter @TribuneSouth. And Candy Ebling is behind the scenes, and she's the mastermind of this whole operation. Wayne, did you conclude your thought, or you want to add a little bit to it?
I concluded my thought.
Boy, I'll tell you, I was able to read you nicely. Okay, don't worry, Jeremy. You won't have an opportunity to get my hat knocked off because it's a Motor City Madmouth hat, and I take a lot of pride because Denzel Snipes wants one now. Go ahead, Denz.
The only thing that I have to say about this, and I know it's a different sport, but hear me out, okay? Y'all know who quarterback Josh Johnson is?
You took my thing.
That's all I got to say. Go ahead, Jacob. You got it, big dog.
That's good. I like that.
You are a great minds think alike, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Oh, I love this crew already.
Mine was short, but expand on it. Go ahead, man.
No. You do it first. You started.
Yeah, you brought up
No. Literally, mine was it. That was it.
No, but no. When you get a Josh Johnson, you get this guy. You get all of these, and this is the reason they're there. You get your stars, okay? You get your sixth men. You get your backup quarterbacks. You get all of these. Everybody has a role on the team. Like a Josh Johnson's around this long because he knows every offensive system in the league. If you've been in 15 teams, this guy now knows every offensive system in the league. Now, in his league, NBA, he knows every single one of them. You want to know what this is going to lead to? Coaching.
Yeah.
This is going to lead to coaching later, assistant coaching, everything like that. And considering how Sam Cassell just made it to a big one, Bobby Jackson just made it to Sam Cassell Celtics. Bobby Jackson's now a Sixer. These guys, they're future coaches. This guy can go make it. Like he can get into the video booth, or what we can call it now. It's not the video booth like Tom Janovich, but you get my point. He can start from somewhere and get to that. And it's like that's the way. Maybe that's the way to do it. that's going to get people. That's going to get players to think about what else you do with the league if you're not the big guy anymore. Because guess what? Moses Malone did not have that when he was in his 21st season after 2 points.
Right, that's true.
There wasn't a thought process of that. It was you play it out and go get your check. Now these guys have a different world. This is why I said it's a different era.
All right, Jeremy, I want you to go ahead and read George Eichhorn's comment. I really like this one.
Love the Nuggets ex-Pistons connections. Bruce Brown, Contavious Caldwell Pope, Reggie Jackson, ishsmith, plus Coach Malone is the son of ex-Pistons assistant coach Brendan Malone.
Yeah, and I got to know Brendan Malone real well because I worked with him during the Bad Boys era. So thank you very much, George, for bringing the history up. With that said, Jeremy, you get to read another one, too, from the man. And he's got my lucky number 33 in it. Go ahead.
33 years ago tonight, the Pistons won their second of back-to-back Bad Boys NBA titles. That would have been, 89-90 season?
Something like that. And you know what? I'll tell you what, Will Vogel, okay, can't ignore the man who appears in every chat room imaginable. That's what you call a journeyman. Okay, that's what you call the understatement of the night, Will Vogel. Thank you very much.
You better believe it. But he's right on that one, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, he really is. Okay, and then we'll go back to George Eichhorn. I'm getting a little happy fingers. That's why they're going up a little bit.
Yes,
maybe it should be happy
right
that a new team has one title instead of the same old teams. A long time ago, it was a while before there weren't many that repeated, so George is on fire tonight. So, all right, with that said, okay, everybody got their piece of the E. Smith action. Let's go to the sports town of the week. You predicted it was Denver. Scale of 1 to 10. Jeremy, what do you have?
It's for me because they keep showing out. Even though the Rockies are horrible, you got to give them a 10.
Yeah. Okay. All right, JB.
I don't know. For some reason, I just never felt like Denver was a huge sports town. The Broncos used to be great. The Rockies were good at one point. The Nuggets and Avalanche are their best hopes right now. Obviously, the Nuggets just won. But for some reason, being from New York originally, I don't look at Denver as like a sports town. They just happen to be there and have teams. So maybe an 8.
Okay. All right, let's go to Wayne.
And I agree with JB. I don't necessarily consider Denver a huge sports town. Maybe years ago, back when the Broncos were good. Colorado, maybe the Rockies, maybe a few years ago, back in the Larry Walker days. They've got the Avalanche, who have played well, although they've disappointed a little this year because they didn't go as far as people expected them to. And the Nuggets played well. I'd probably give them an 8 as well.
Okay, Dens.
I've been to Denver, really laid back city. If no one's ever been, laid back people and everything, and they have between the Nuggets and the ABA, obviously, and the days of the Denver Broncos and whatnot, seeing Elway and coming out in the snow and snowy Mile High and watching Elway throw touchdown passes and everything. I'm going to give them an 8, but not for the reasons JB or Wayne did, but because, obviously, I would have, New York, Detroit, higher than that. But I'll give them an 8. They're loyal. I'll tell you that much. They're loyal.
Jacob?
7. I give them a 7. It's a Broncos town until the other teams start doing good. And it's the Broncos can be 2-15. I mean, yeah. Broncos can be 2-15, and they'll yell, they'll scream, they'll holler, they'll be there. If you get a really, really bad Avalanche team, you get a really, really bad Nuggets team, they're not showing up. It's a Broncos town.
All right, Jeremy, read this one.
I'm sure our writer friend Tony DeMarco and your mentor Scott would give Denver a 10.
Well, you know what? I'm giving him a 10 too, and so did Jordan Long last night on 108 Stitches Baseball Talks. I'll tell you why. Number one, let's face it, the Broncos have always been the class of Denver. They'll get it figured out. And I had the good fortune of seeing them win a Super Bowl 33, mind you, here in South Florida. I've always loved the Broncos. The Rockies will draw if you can give them something to cheer for.
They
and I
will draw.
What's that, Jeremy?
They still draw. They've had bad seasons so long, and they still fill that stadium. It is a draw. And say what you want. The Avalanche and the Broncos, they fill that stadium. The NBA is now filling the stadium. So if you think about it, that's 4 stadiums out of 4 major sports that is filled. That's a 10.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Excellent points all the way around, Jeremy. But here's the thing: I know the Rockies will draw, and I had the good fortune of working with the Rockies during spring training, and their people treated me really, really well. I love the Broncos, the Avalanche. But you know what? I'm glad. One of the reasons I brought up this topic here, okay, is when you think of it, four of owner Stan Kroenke's U.S. teams have won championships in the last 2 years. Ready for this? Want to talk about piling onto our sports sound of the week? Here we go. The 2023 Denver Nuggets, as you know, won the NBA Super Bowl. The Rams won a Super Bowl recently. 2022 Stanley Cup champs, Colorado Avalanche. And how about the 2022 NLL? I guess that means National Lacrosse League Cup champs, the Colorado Mammoth. And of course, I've already alluded to the great history of the Broncos and the Rockies. So you know what? I love Denver myself. I've only seen one game when the Red Wings went out there and played the Avalanche at the arena that they, I think, tore it down and they built another one. But regardless, I have no problem with Denver. I think Denver is phenomenal. A couple more topics to go. Let everybody know that Confidential is at the top of the hour, so we have no problem cruising to that as well. So you know what? I love hearing Charles Barkley talk, and I'll tell you what, he did it again, folks. He says, I love hockey so much because you guys only care about winning. There's no drama, no load management, no super teams. You can sense the genuine passion and desire these guys have for winning. That's why I love your sport. Well, Charles Barkley, I'll start off this time. That's the reason why I love you. You're the one who gets to say everything we all want to think and, say what we want in terms of the NBA has earned the reason why that their ratings are down everywhere. Dan, didn't you mention some numbers that they were down in pundit spending? They were down a little bit. Why don't you pull those out a minute for us, please?
So, and I'll just go ahead and this is my prime pundit point. The 2023 NBA playoffs as a whole averaged 5.47 million viewers. That was the most in 5 seasons. But then as far as the NBA Finals goes, it was the 5th least watched in the modern era, only drawing 11.65 million viewers. You can catch my rant on that on the replay of Pundit. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, by all means, I'm glad you promoted it because all you did was reinforce my point, anyways, about what Charles Barkley said. So I want to reiterate one more time what he said, and then everybody gets an opportunity to comment on it. So once again, he says, I love hockey so much because you guys only care about winning. There's no drama. Okay, that should be a hashtag when I ultimately do them because that's what it's going to be. No load management, no super teams. You can sense the genuine passion and desire that these guys have for winning. That's why I love your sport. And then when you reference the Florida Panthers, that's why these guys got more broken bones and they're still playing without taking nights off. All right. With that said, Jeremy, I said a mouthful. Then again, I always do anyways. You can go ahead and save me from losing my voice if I elaborate on this a little more.
Charles is 100%. Charles is 100% correct. I agree. Other sports, especially NBA, have super teams. And he's right. But did I hear 5.4 million viewers was the average of the playoffs? Is that what you said?
Yes, it averaged 5.4 million viewers for the entire.
I was right. The XFL had more viewers than the NBA playoffs. You can say what you want. The NBA is failing, and it's Adam Silver's fault.
Well, you might as well add the 3-point play because remember what I said, Jacob and Denzel? The 3-point play to me is the cancer of the sport, okay? It really is. Ever heard the old thing called Basket Bros, a show we pridely do so well? Of course, that 3-point play, okay? Driving to the basket, hits the basket and a foul, and Barkley will go to the line. A little bit of energy here about the play-by-play side that you guys never see. Anyways, there you go. And no, that wasn't the Mountain Dew talking. It was a Canada Dry. So with that said, okay, who was next? Den's. Okay, you did. All right, JB Ellis. You want to talk about my play-by-play, or you want to talk about Charles Barkley, or a combination of both?
Well, I mean, if we're going to do play-by-play, go ahead, Scott. You got it. We're all good. But, the NBA, this was a horrible finals to want to watch. What did I say earlier? Jokic is just not exciting. He's phenomenal. Textbook basketball, but it's not what's done anymore. Everybody wants to see flashy, and he's just not flashy. It fundamentally phenomenal. You want your kids to watch him play and learn how to play the way he does, but are you going to sit there and enjoy watching it when you see, guys that are just dunking and doing some phenomenal, crazy things? It's a different type of thing. The 3-point shot to me has changed the game because now teams all they do is they shoot threes. You live and die by the three. Everybody shoots threes. You got 7-footers that shoot 3-pointers. All you do is you run up the court, you shoot a 3-pointer, you either hit or you miss, and that's how you win the game. There's no more inside game. There's no more setters and in the middle of the blocks. There's no more physicality with it. If you look at the guy wrong, it's a foul. The referees are awful. You can see the only when you know referees' names, there's a problem. In baseball, it's Adriel Hernandez. In basketball, Scott Foster. So you look at things like that.
Right.
It was a bad playoffs. The Stars were hurt. Giannis was hurt. Butler was hurt for a couple of games, if I remember correctly. It went throughout the whole playoff series. The first round, a lot of stars missed games. People watch games for stars. They don't watch it to see role players. We're not watching to see Max Strus throw up threes. Who cares? We watch it for Jimmy Butler if you're watching the Heat, and depending on whatever team it is, you're watching for Steph on Golden State, LeBron on the Lakers. You're not watching for the backups or the the sixth men. That's another reason why the system is bad. But they got to do something with the ridiculous foul calls, with the flops, and and the 3-pointers. They got to figure that out, because the game just can't be run up the court, shoot a 3. Okay, you missed that. That just happens time and time again.
Yeah, the only thing about load management, JB, and I know we've talked about it. We've also talked about all our shows. I believe you have to play a minimum of 65 games now, as I understand it, to be eligible for the awards. Is that correct? I believe.
Correct.
I think they should have moved it to 70 myself, but 65 is better. But that's just my opinion. In hockey, you don't have to worry about this, Charles.
That's great for the regular season, but the playoffs, nobody's having load management. Everyone's playing all the games unless they're really hurt. Right. So I mean, that's what we're talking about, playoff ratings. And Barkley's right. I mean, in hockey, players give their all. They play with broken bones. They don't care. It's all about winning. It's possibly because they don't make the money they make in basketball.
No question about it.
You're talking a ridiculous amount in the CBA that these guys get in basketball. So you don't want to risk your career on an injury if you lose out on $60 million. Where in hockey, you're getting a much lower amount. So you need to make sure you're playing so you can keep earning that.
Well, JB, let me point out something that a lot of you guys probably don't know, but I read on it today. The Ottawa Senators were sold for $1 billion Canadian money and $950 million American money. And what are the average rates for franchise in the United States? Well, that's not a lot of money. What I mean by that, JB, and the rest of y'all, is the fact that you're right. The money that in hockey isn't as high, and that even talks about franchise sales as well. So, JB, that further documents your point a little bit more, that the Ottawa Senators be $1 billion Canadian and $950 million American. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Okay, Wayne.
I think as far as the NBA goes, I think a lot of people, when we talked about Denver and people were saying, "Oh, Denver wasn't necessarily the sexy pick," that people wanted to see. I think people wanted to see Boston and the Lakers, maybe even Miami and the Lakers, but I think most people wanted Boston and the Lakers. Refereeing, as JB said, in both series, NBA and NHL, was horrible, but didn't cause a team to win or lose. But as far as the desire in the NHL, let's just look at the Panthers, for example. You had Barkov. Well, first of all, he was in a paternity suit over his child. That's been ongoing. Brandon Montour, he was dealing with his wife giving birth to a new baby. You had Radko Gudas, had a sprained ankle that would have kept him pretty much out of who knows how many games if it was the regular season. You had Aaron Ekblad. He dealt with two dislocated shoulders throughout the series to begin with. You had Tkachuk, didn't play in Game 5, played in Games 3 and 4 with a broken sternum.
Right.
His sternum was so bad that he couldn't even get out of bed. His brother had to help him get out of bed.
Right.
So when we talk about desire, in most other sports, that wouldn't happen.
All right, let me go to a comment that George Eichhorn made, and then I'm going to go to you, Jens, and then Jacob, and then we have 2 more topics, so we get over to confidential. Jeremy, you said what you had to say on this, right? Is that correct?
Yep. Hockey players.
Yeah, go ahead. Read George.
Hockey players do have such a desire to win the cup. All those playoff years show the grit and determination. It's more than that. It's the fact that They can have minor injuries and they still go out and play. They are there to earn their money. They're there to win. And I love hockey players because of that.
Good. Thanks for reinforcing that. You're 100% right, Jeremy. All right, go ahead, Dens.
Charles Barkley basically said that the NBA has way more divas than the NHL, and I agree 100%. Anyone want to challenge me on that? Hey, he's, but as far as, and I'm going to actually add to what you said, Jeremy, is I think in this case, two things can be true as far as the viewership. I think Adam Silver could be at fault, but also the fans are hypocrites. Now, here's a snippet of what I said earlier tonight, okay? Again, the entire rant is on, Pun is Pun It. And that is the fans are hypocrites, and here's why. Because you have some fans out there that say, man, I want to see parity. I want to see parity. You know what I mean? You would think Denver, never been before. The Heat, second 8th seed ever to make it, okay? All right, we've got some parity here. Wayne, you alluded to, they wanted to see, or JB, they wanted to see, Boston and LA. You know what I mean? This is living proof that Steph Curry and LeBron James control television, okay? Now, you have some fans out there that say, as long as it ain't the Warriors and the Lakers. Here you have a finals where it's not the Warriors or the Lakers, and you don't show up.
Mm-hmm.
Let that sink in.
Okay. Good point. Anybody want to add to it before I turn over to Jacob?
No, he's definitely right. I mean, you got your superstars that people want to see. And they don't look, as we said, Jokic should have been a 3-time MVP probably, but people don't want to see him.
Okay. All right, Jacob, go ahead.
I'm going to give an example here based off of history. 1996, St. Louis and Detroit, Game 7. Shane Corson's, slap shot, ping, off the left post. And then to play on a little bit, Wayne Gretzky gets stolen, Fedorov scores. Game over, second overtime. Place goes absolutely insane. You break my heart. But I'm saying this. You break my heart on that type of thing because it's like I thought that would be a thing. But here's the deal. 2023, there was a 4 overtime game in the playoffs. There was still that same excitement. There was still that same deal. You probably had 2 ping. Probably still had those in the midst of everything. It is a heart attack waiting to happen. 1996, 72 win Bulls. How exciting were those games? Yeah, as far as the Bulls. No, I'm just saying. No, but this is what I'm saying by itself. The game is different from the NBA than it was, is what I'm saying. Right. How different is the NHL game of 96 compared to 2023? Not much. Ping! And still a heart attack. 1996 to 2023 NBA, apples and bricks. And that is why. That is why Charles Barkley likes the NHL. That's why of everything. Because you look 40 years earlier, 30 years earlier, 50 years earlier, 20 years, the game's still the same. The game's still the same excitement. It's not the same with the NBA.
Okay, I got 2 topics I want to get to, and I'm going to get to them, okay? This one probably doesn't require a lot of time. The one I have after that does. Mike Breen calls his record 100th NBA Finals broadcast truly incredible. Jeremy, this guy here is definitely the face of the NBA, especially on television.
Yep, and he's had a great career. Good for him.
JB?
Phenomenal announcer, been around forever. Gotta love what he does.
Yeah, I actually met him years ago in Miami, and one of the nicest people you ever meet, too. Wayne?
I think with all the layoffs you've seen in newspapers and on TV, kudos to him for sticking around and not being let go.
Denzel?
Man, it's almost like Marv Albert passed him the torch, and he ran all the way to the end zone with it. Great for him.
Jacob?
Our era's Brent Musburger, Marv Albert, and those. He's our era's version, and good for him. And something this kind of shows the example of. This shows the example of it doesn't matter how many layoffs there are and how many things. If you are that good, you're indispensable. Period. And it's like just be that good.
Okay. Final topic of the night. Jeremy and I discussed it on Sunday's debut edition of Professor and the Pupil. Florida Panthers and Florida Live Arena were charging $100 for parking, which I do believe will have a negative repercussions going forward. And to me, there would have been another $100 bill had the Panthers had gotten it back there. All right, Jeremy, and I want to point out something about the professor and the pupil. We had a great first day, right? Didn't we, Jeremy?
Yes, we did.
We did, and people can look forward to watching that on Sunday morning around 10 Eastern time. The whole idea behind the show is that one big topic, and we talk about minor sports, and we go out there and bring guests here and there. So we're trying to carve a niche market to the minor sports that will hopefully give that show a much different meaning than it does with most. So, I hope a lot of people can go out there and watch it. But again, I repeat, our focus will be on minor sports. All right, Jeremy, let's talk about what we talked about. Everybody else can't say it. I think what the Panthers and Florida Live Arena did was a bad move. Capitalism. I get what they were trying to do, and I hope it bites them in the butt next year. Jeremy?
The bad part is, and I'm going to say it again, it won't. Why? Because playoffs are not for the average fan. They're for the rich and famous. That is why you see every star from every town show up when their team is in the playoffs. It's disgusting. And it's no different than the NFL. They say that, the NFL is about the average fan. Then why is the nosebleed Super Bowl ticket $1,750?
JB?
Listen, it is what it is with that. I don't know about Miami as far as do you guys have public transportation you can take to get to the stadium?
Not that one.
So that's horrible then that you're going to charge $100. New York and Chicago, you can get to any of the stadiums via public transportation. So if you choose to drive, it's on you if you want to pay the $100. If there's no way to get there other than driving, that's horrible. That's just fleecing your fans. No matter who it is, whether it be the regular fan or celebrity fans, it doesn't matter. If you don't have an alternative way of getting there other than that, that's not cool.
Yeah, Sunrise, Florida, and I know Wayne could tell you the same thing, is pretty much located in the Everglades. So other than Sawgrass Mall, it's one thing. Now, where the Miami Heat play downtown, public transportation would apply, but I'm with you. No, Sunrise, JB, should you get down here, you'll find the difference between the two. The Heat's a different animal, right, Wayne?
Correct. And with that being said, Scott, I've lived probably within about 10 minutes or less over the last 40 years from the Florida Live Arena, which is what it's called now. It's had all kinds of names around, but there have been times where it's been upwards of $40 for parking. Okay, and that was the max up until the playoffs now, which were 100. Now, the thing that hurts that is that a lot of people parked across the street over by Sawgrass Mall and walked. Now, one time, what the Panthers wanted to do in Florida Live Arena is they wanted to charge people a walk-up fee for parking across the street. That never gained traction. So that never ever happened. So you still have lots and lots and lots of people that'll still park across the street for free over at the mall because that's public parking. People can't do anything about it. And they walk right across the street. They pay nothing and they get in.
Quick question for you, Wade.
Yeah.
The walk-up charge that they wanted to have, isn't that called a ticket to go into the game? That's ballsy.
and you are correct. There was also a time where the parking fees were included in the ticket fees, and they didn't charge you to get. My brother Mitch and I, at one time, when they first moved into the Sunrise Arena, we were quarter season ticket holders from the Miami Arena days, and when they moved over, and back then, like I said, they were incorporating the ticket fees or the parking fees and everything into the ticket fees. Well, that kind of went away, and they started charging for parking. And like I said, we've parked over by the mall many times and walked. Not a very long walk. You're walking with a bunch of people, so it's not like it's unsafe because where the mall is not a very unsafe area anyway.
Right.
So a lot of people will just do that anyway because, $100 is ridiculous. Not to mention, you're going to probably spend a crap load, on concessions to begin with because they're overpriced too.
Right. Well, like you said, Jamie, they're fleecing them. All right, Denzel.
Everyone complains about inflation, and then you got this. And that's exactly what it's doing. It's adding to the inflation of America. You mentioned, the big stars coming to the game and everything, and now the price is going up so much pretty soon for a Lakers-Knicks game. The Knicks fans that show up is going to be Bad Boy Records, and then the the Lakers fans that show up is going to be everybody on the staff of Paramount Pictures. Pretty soon the common fan ain't
It already is
able to afford, a common game. But I also kind of see a way around this, and hear me out, okay? Is they may find ways around the $100 parking. You may see an uptick in people Ubering the games. I know because I did it to an Astros game just last year.
Okay, Jacob, you got the final word on this.
Welcome to the ATL is all I can say. Go downtown, try to deal with those situations. I'm talking about you want to find a parking spot, especially in a playoff series, especially when it was Turner Field back in the time. You want to do that kind of thing. Someone will say, oh, we can buy this. They will just jack you on money, and you're not guaranteed not to get booted anyway. So it's like this is nothing. These prices are nothing. We didn't take them because we either took MARTA or any of those type situations. But we know when you live in a big city like this, 18 years, this is nothing. Zip, zilch. It's just another city that's just seen what I've seen for a while.
All right. The only thing I say is what I said earlier before. I think the Panthers are going to bite the bullet over this, and I think the fans down in South Florida are going to be angry because they fleeced them that $100. South Florida fans are a different animal. And I've always believed that if you try to pull a fast one past them, they're going to find a way. Everybody knows that there's areas that one of the scam areas around the country, and any way you can get scammed in this area, they're going to make you pay for it. I know Confidential's coming up.
JB, we're going to have to go.
No, also, hold on. Before you go, I think it's 10 after. Well, this will be very easy. I'm going to let JB let people know how you get a hold of yourself. And when you guys do that, you can go one at a time. And then Jeremy and I and Wayne will take us home. Go ahead, JB.
Sounds good. JB_ the program on Twitter, Sideline Sports, on the NFL Alumni Media every Tuesday, 8:30. Watch it at JB_ the program or at Sideline Sport 1, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all over. Make sure you subscribe to the South Florida Tribune, subscribe to us. Some great programming. We do a lot of work together, but we'll see you guys just a couple of minutes on Confidential. Good night, guys.
There you go. Good night, JB. All
Good
right,
night, JB.
Jacob. All right, Jacob, go ahead.
Sunday nights, Basket Bros. Monday nights, Pundit Views. Had a great interview on Monday. Tuesday nights off. Wednesday nights, 3 shows. Pundit. This one here, and this for South Florida Tribune, and the Confidential. Thursday nights, depending. Friday nights when called. Gauntlet when called. And then Saturday night's got a new show working on with Scott Delafav called The Inscriber Magazine, The Inscriber Magazine Radio. So we're working on that, and it's constant and continuous. I'm also Jake the Pundit on here and Jake the Pundit 1 on TikTok.
And one last thing before Jacob goes off, I enjoy working with you and Denzel on Pundit and Basketball Bros. Oh, Basket Bros, all right. Jacob,
and by the way, you Sniper's Nest is your new show, buddy. That is your new show. You better call it that.
Yeah. There you go. We'll do that. You're the best, pal. All right. So, all right. That leads you to Denzel, and then it'll be Wayne, and then Jeremy and I to take her home. All right. Go ahead, Denzel.
All right. I got to say this, and then I got to run myself.
That's
hey, thanks a lot for having me on the show, you guys. Let's see here. Confidential coming up next on Sideline Sports Network. Sunday Basket Bros. Produce Pundit Views on Mondays. Gauntlet Fridays. We will have a show absolutely this week, and also of course Pundit on Wednesdays. You can find me at Nell13 on Twitter. Catch us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, DBTV, and Stream TV. We are everywhere. Everybody be safe. Jeremy, don't arrest nobody tonight, man.
Hey, just because I look like ballpark Frank Farva from Super Troopers, don't call me that.
He's mad at the donut shops.
All right. Well, Denzel.
You like that one?
Have a good tub show, Denzel. We appreciate you coming on tonight.
Take care, Denzel.
Hey, thanks, guys. Y'all be good. Good meeting you, Wayne.
You too.
All right, Wayne. So let's go ahead. Just let everybody know really quickly about you, and then we can go from there.
You could find me on Twitter at WEW612. Feel free to add me. Or email me, wew612@gmail.com. I'm available basically whenever Scott needs me or anybody else. I had a great time being on here, so I thank you. And a pleasure, talking sports with you guys.
All right, glad to have you. Hopefully we'll bring you back somewhere down the line. All right, Jeremy and I will take it home. But before I do take it home with Jeremy, I want to let everybody know that once again, the Sports Exchange is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of the Sports Exchange can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest, send topic ideas to South Florida Tribune at gmail.com or be active in the chat room. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter at Tribune South. Candy Ebling does a lot of great work behind the scenes. So once again, please like and subscribe. Our goal is to grow as much as we possibly can and be able to get these broadcasts out to as many people as we can. Once again, Wayne, thank you very much. We appreciate everybody for joining us. And also, Mitch Weinstein, better late than never. Yes, good work, Wayne. Great to see you. All right, good night,
Just
everybody.
got done trying out that new buffer.
Yeah, also, Jeremy, let everybody know how they get a hold of you as well. I forgot. Go ahead.
All right. You can find me on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel any night Scott needs me, and also with our new show on Sundays, 10 a.m., The Professor and the Pupil. You can also find me on the SouthFloridaTribune.com underneath the Motor City Tribune heading, where you'll find my writings about the NFL and soon to be off major sports topics.
Very good.
Also, you can find me at my channel on YouTube, Kneecap Biting with the Detroit Lions, where I talk about the Detroit Lions, and I also talk about the NFL on Wednesday night. And you can find me anywhere else that's Sideline Sports or Let's Talk Sports or South Florida Tribune. I don't care. I love talking sports. Just call me.
I can hardly tell, and obviously you've emerged as my top right-hand man and co-host, and I'm really thankful to have a guy with you along my side. So with that said, on behalf of J.B. Ellis, Denzel Snipes, Jacob Christner, Wayne Weinstein, Jeremy Bulrick, my name is Scott Morgan, out the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange. We'll catch you next week at this very time. Good night, everybody.